How would you like to get free business funding up to $250,000 that is going by fast? And the three ways to get free money right now so you don't have to continue to struggle, feeling like you are not enough, that your business will not make it through, and much more. Hi, this is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business loan broker expert, which is another way of saying I know how to handle documentation correctly, evaluate, analyze it, and connect you with the best lenders and underwriters that are out there. No further introduction. You see here on the share screen, we'll be getting into these 3+ ways of getting free money right now for your business that is hot. And some of this could be expiring. So pay close attention. Stick with me until the very end, as I'll also be giving you a few tips and you can walk away with some documentation and some free video series and stuff like that. But before I get into any of this, just know if you haven't heard recently on the idle updates on the hardship accommodation plan, there's been an extension around another 6 months or so, but that'll still add on interest. So keep that in mind. Yes, it'll help many, but right now, a lot of people are going out of business without the idle loan, without more, without it being forgiven, and so forth. And after that full year, as we've extended to, does expire, what then happens? So you have to be prepared right now. And without going into too much details on the hardship plan and what's happening there on the 10% and everything, just know at the very core of this are three things that I look at in helping each client of each and every industry that I've literally funded. And I look at credit, cash flow, collateral. You either have one of these three, two, or none of them. And if you don't, there's business credit through trade credit. And we work on building your business credit profile. Establishing it is one thing with the business credit bureaus, and it's another thing to build your credit through trade credit, vendor credit like Uline, Granger. There's store credit, fleet credit. I was going to say store and retail, similar things. But store credit, retail credit, fleet credit, like gas cards, and a few more things that we can work on. And these are things that I've done for myself and my businesses, and I run multiple. So I don't hand this just to anybody and everybody. And you want the very best from somebody who is transparent, loyal, who will not overpromise and underdeliver, who will not overwhelm you. And I don't do any of those things. So without any further on that, let's go into this and talk about what are these three options right now. And so let me flip over to another share screen so I can show you to begin with. And one of these, as you see on the screen here, are grant opportunities. And before I go through some of these, and I'll leave this document down below in the description, you can literally pick it up for free, look through it. I'll have the most up to date. I still have to add quite a few grant opportunities on there, and we'll look through some of them. But again, I'm going to go through three of them. If you're just joining me, I'll go through three of these, and then I'll go to the comment section. Appreciate you. Thank you, Eric. I'll come to you guys in just a second. Understood. Just hang in there with me. I'll give it a quick abbreviation and I'll go to the comments. But the first one here being grant opportunities. The second and the third one, especially the third one, is going to light up your world, especially if you have this that you can qualify for. So stick with me. We'll get into that in a few moments. But here on the screen, one of many are grant opportunities, and I have here grant opportunities for 2023. And these aren't definite limit of grants. As you know, they keep getting updated, more come up. And I'll continue to upload this documentation with more. But you have here with like grants.gov, if we were to open this, and before I go there, that's share screen, you can scroll down here and see multiple amounts. If you need expert help, there's a grant funding expert there to help. Grant writing and extra resources, more funding help, submitting like a real estate form, submitting a business funding form, a 6-step pre-approval lending checklist, microloan programs, and quite a few of them that I've already made reviews on. So you can see quite a bit here, like USA funding applications. There's the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, Women's Business Centers, there's SOGAL, and some of these may be subtracted from as things do change with certain grant opportunities, and they come and they go. Some don't work best as much as they used to. But one right here, like grants.gov, and I've opened this up in another screen. Let me quickly see that. So you can go here, the grants.gov website. This is just one of many ways. It's not the only one, of course. I can go through a lot with rural areas and some different like initiative programs, technology-based programs. But here you can go through Learn Grants and the Grants Learning Center, Grants 101, the eligibility. So if we click there, just for starters, we can go through this and see who is eligible and then learn a little bit more. And then government organizations, education organizations, public housing Organizations, nonprofit. What would it mean to be there? Nonprofits having a 501c3 status with the Internal Revenue Service, other than institutions of higher education. Nonprofits that do not have 501c3 status with the IRS, other than institutions of higher education. For profit, you see that, small businesses, individuals, foreign applicants. So you can learn a little bit there, and you can search for grants here if you were to click there. And there are so many different tabs that I've already gone through myself and helped out people with. But you can search in terms of keywords. If there's a specific grant, we can probably put technology and then search. And then once we click that, we can then get a list of them with the opportunity number, opportunity title, the agency, opportunity status, posted dates, close dates. And then here, we can go through the opportunity number. Once we click through that, then you can learn more about view grant opportunity, and then you can apply if it's available. Sometimes they won't. Subscribe so you can follow along when they are up to date. And you can learn more about them here. Science and technology and other research and development. And then version, posted date, last updated date. And down here, you can learn a little bit more. Original closing date for applications, May 12, 2023. So you can check that out there. And when it's open and when it isn't open, you can learn more about it, when they will open it to apply, unrestricted, agency name, NASA headquarters. And so there are quite a bit more, but I won't go through all of them. How to apply for grants. If you need to learn more about that, you can go through here, learn, check, search, register, apply, and then track. And then you can search for opportunity package. Click there if you have something to search for that specifically, you can do though. And over here again, learn grants, grant programs, finding grant programs, federal grants, funding and benefits, non-federal grants. So I can go on and on. The list goes on, and I'll leave that documentation down below in the description. Let me backspace now so I can go back to that original document. I can copy and paste it from another email, but let's just go here. Okay, so you see that grant opportunity section. Now let me present to you a second one, and let me move this screen over. This document may look familiar, and I'll try to leave it for you down below in the description. So hang in there with me, and I'll go to the comment section in just a moment. So here, what you see on screen is a document that details different funding opportunities. And what happens is when you go through this, you'll see the detail per details, like nothing is left out of these, whether you're a startup or a non-startup, whether you can or can't qualify for. And that's why I recommend going into my questionnaire that I'll link you to down below in the description. And what's most important too, besides this, is making sure you have business credit. As I said in the very beginning, but I didn't say, I have a free business credit building video series. I'll link you guys to it down below in the description. Pick it up for free. It doesn't hurt you. There's no cost, no hidden cost, none of that. I'm not that person who does the whole, yeah, there's a hidden cost and this. Not with me. That doesn't go by. And so down below in the description, I'll leave this information, the questionnaire, as I alluded to seconds ago. You fill it out in less than a minute. You can literally finish it, and I'll be able to evaluate, analyze it, and give you a proper response back via email on your best funding option and options, like I've done for a lot, like hundreds upon thousands. I've done it for a lot of people. Let's just say that. Many, many people who are submitting it every day. And if you have and I haven't gotten back to you, I will do so. Just give me a chance, because I do get quite flooded, and that's okay. You want a business loan broker expert who does get flooded. You don't want somebody who kind of knows their stuff, do you? Or do you want somebody who's just a glorified referral partner and just doesn't keep track of anything on the back and does not review documentation? You answer that for yourself, and you'll find out soon enough whether that was best for you or not. Usually it isn't. And just be very careful, again, who you gather information from. So that information will be down below. Let's go back to this document. As I go ahead and type in here, I want to go through the option, which it's called the credit line hybrid. And before that, here, as you're going to see right now, we're going to go through this option. And there are other ones on this page. Just know that this is a business credit card stacking program. Essentially, what is happening is we can apply on your behalf, put those applications together to go apply for the bigger banks. And we can do little banks, online and offline banks. So we have a strategic strategy on how to get you 50 to 75,000, 20 to 50,000, 10 to 50,000, and then a second round, maybe 75 to 120,000, or if you're already equipped to do 75 to 120,000. But essentially, you can get up to 150,000 or up to 250,000 if it's included with corporate credits. In corporate credit cards, it's great too, because you only use your EIN. With a lot of these business credit cards, you do have to apply with your social security number. They may ask for both fields, SSN and EIN, but the SSN is to verify eligibility, the person, the credit worthiness, the financial track record. We can look up credit. So when people have this whole, well, I don't want a whole personal guarantee, well, what kind of leverage do you bring to the table? What kind of business are you in? How much experience do you have? What relationship do you have with that existing bank, if anything? What have you built? So a lot of the time, you could see a PG included, which rightfully so. There are no PG business credit cards, of course, that I'm not going to go through all of them in this video. I've made content on this down below. I can link you to on business credit cards with fair credit to good credit to great to excellent. And if you have poor credit, what are some of the situations and stipulations you can work through? If you already have multiple business credit cards, like I tell certain people, if you already have an invested relationship with your lender or with your bank, excuse me, depending on how many banking cards you have, it may be in your best interest, instead of getting another card, to ask for a credit increase. But it depends on how long ago you received that card. We can also add on top of that, just depending on what you have. You may have a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America already, but you don't have a Chase, or you don't have a US bank. So those two can work in tandem. Or we work for a Truist Bank, a PNC Bank, but it's strategic. It's not just saying I'm going to put in an application in online or offline. There are strategic strategies to going in person or just doing it online. So I can help you with that. And this is business credit card stacking. We can get you high limits up to 150, up to 250,000, working on those rounds. And if you're looking for EIN only, then that is towards corporate credit a lot of the time. And or you would expect to do trade credit through vendor credit, store credit, and these you're building net 22s, net 30s, and then you're also getting revolving accounts. You're growing into that. So I'll leave more information on that down below, where you can build your trade credit that's tied to your EIN, not your social security number. For a lot of you, that's where you need to begin, or you need to add that in combination of what you are doing, whether you're a startup or a non-startup. So back to this document, and you can liquidate the cash out of these cards in case you were wondering, like, what can I do? You can liquidate, take the cash out of these cards, specific ones. There might be a bank transfer fee, a low percentage or none, with your introductory period of 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, if I didn't say that already. So you do get 0% interest for 6 to 18 months on these cards, and I'll go through some of the qualifications for that. But just keep in mind that you can liquidate, you can take out money, you can put them on a balance transfer check, you can deposit it into another account. There's a system that we do this with. This could be software involved if necessary. There are certain cards you can and can't do that with, of course. And the amount that you can take out of, sometimes I say up to 80%, up to 85% or so, just depending on that card and that issuer. But here, the credit line hybrid program, and I made a review on this, and I'll leave more information to it down below in the description. But to get started, I'll try to leave this document. If not, fill out the questionnaire and I'll help you out, and I'll customize it more to you. So you'll need to have at least a 700 plus credit score on all 3 consumer credit bureaus. Yes, this is credit based. Like I said earlier, the 3: cash flow, credit, collateral. You either have 1, 2, or all 3, or none. And we work on trade credit. And yes, this is free money for those of you out here going, well, I expected it to be free money. Isn't it a loan? No, it's not exactly a loan. It's a credit card. And so a revolving credit card, that is too. And so you have installments / term loans, you have revolving. So just think about what you're getting. And with those installment lump sums, a lot of the times you have an expected due date, and you have maybe 6 to 24 months, 4 to 24 months or more if you're getting these SBA loans, which are not free money. But there are the 10K grants, in case you were wondering, but those are hard to get right now. Look what's happened with the 10K, the idle loans. Yeah, there's a hardship accommodation plan, and there's another extra additional 6 months. And look at what's happened with the PPP loan and some other programs. They have come and they've gone. What are you still sitting on? When are you finally going to take that chance and take a look and fix the diagnosis? Or you need somebody to point you in the right direction. You're like, I know I need credit repair, but I don't know what to do thereafter. Like, how do I build this? Like, you might know the problem, you might know the solution, but you don't know exactly where to turn to, where to start, and then where to pivot into. So keep that in mind. This is free money for 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, depending on those cards. But you do have to make sure you're using this correctly. For those of you who go, well, after it's over, I got this payment, or I got to now use these cards this way with a 22% APR. Yeah, but the difference with somebody who uses this money for good debt, maybe they're doubling, tripling, quadrupling in their revenue, or they're trying to start their business and they're going to generate revenue by purchasing a vehicle like a box truck, but they got business credit to use it towards. And then after that, that's going to be their main revenue generating income stream. And they're going to bring in more clientele in the next month or two before their introductory 6 to 18 months are over. And then that person's going to start helping them make more money. They're going to go from 15,000 now to 30,000. So that percentage that you're paying back on, you have to make sense and justify it. It's not only with credit cards, it goes with anything else. And if you guys don't want these options and you can't qualify per se, or don't want to take that time, I'll leave revenue-based options, collateral-based options down below, or it'll be in this document, but you can fill out the questionnaire. So yes, you can liquidate the cash out of these, take them out of them, and there's a process that we go through with it. The credit line hybrid, 700 plus credit on all three consumer credit bureaus, may work only due to high balances on revolving accounts. Then you may still qualify. Get a credit partner, or in other words, a guarantor with at least 10% ownership in the business if need be. And so I kind of detail a little bit about this. It's one of the best programs in the country by far. It actually is. I'm a testament to this, and it works extremely well as long as you're using those cards correctly. And so the benefits of it: 24-hour pre-approval, 0% interest for 6 to 18 months. You have business credit, can also be used to help you qualify. Flexibility, you can use the funds and to do what you need to do for your business. So it's also great for real estate investors, for those of you who are doing fix and flips with distressed properties or not, commercial property, foreign nationals. You have multifamily duplexes, new ground up construction projects, which is actually cool because it's an addition. When you do a new ground up construction, then we can add a business line of credit. So we can add that, and then you had this on the back end to work with. You have extra money in reserve, and that can then translate into extra cash flow, which is great. So even startup businesses can qualify, for non-startups as well. True no-doc financing. And this is what's amazing about it for those of you out there who are like, I don't want to supply personal tax returns. I don't want to have to do any profit and loss bank statements or none of that. This is true no-doc. Now, if you have a business, it could work with you if they were to ask for certain documents, but for the majority of these, they don't ask for them. So it's a true no-doc financing program. And if they were to ever ask for them, if you have an established business, it can only help you. So true no-doc financing program, application of funding, it's in 3 weeks or less. I can see 3 to 5 weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, depending on the file. No upfront application fee, credit approvals up to $150,000 per individual. Now, to say you're going to get $150,000 to begin with a very thin credit profile, no strong trade lines, age of history, and no like personal credit cards or with enough high limits, it's hard to say you're going to get even $100,000 to $150,000 to begin with, let alone get somewhere around even $50,000 to $75,000. But if you have that credit profile, you can start off with a higher amount, and then if not, we can work our way up to it. So just keep that in mind. I do see a lot of thin credit profiles that do start off with somewhere around 10 to 20, 10 to 30,000 in some cases. And with a little bit more credit on the personal side, we can even do 5 times the amount of the highest limit, or we can do an equal to, but we have to still look at your credit profile. We can do a soft pull with this. And so in case those of you who are wondering, how do I do this? You can do this through like my FICO. You have my annual credit report is another way to look at it. I know there's a few other ones out there, my credit IQ and so forth, but you can be better prepared. And there's ways that I can ask for a soft pull if I were to look through it myself before we go into an application, or in other words, we can do it going through an application and we can review this on our back end with our team and so forth. So credit approvals, you see that, no collateral requirements, ability to use credit partners if called to qualify if needed, as I alluded to earlier, no cash flow requirements. That's the biggest thing too. You don't have to have that. It can help you build or improve your business credit score. And that's huge too. This can report to the Business Credit Bureau. So for those of you wanting to build your business credit, this is a huge plus. And then making sure you guys are monitoring and going to a site like NAB and making sure you're pulling your reports and you're monitoring and seeing what kind of limits you've built. And that's most important, because if those of you who do not track your business credit, you could be losing out on getting SBA loans. You could be losing out on getting bank term loans, lines of credit, even some equipment loan lenders at the highest tier. So keep in mind that business credit does become a factor when you start trying to get into those SBA 7A, 504 type of loans. Not so much maybe the micro loans. The Advantage program could be a little bit of a factor with business credit, liquid credit. So we're looking at that FICO SPSS business liquid credit score with those types of lenders and those providers. So making sure that that is provided before we go into an application, because we're assessing your credit worthiness on the personal and on the business. If you have no business and it's very limited, your personal credit better be like 800, 850, or better be up there, like high and above. And 750 and above is good and all, but having a stronger credit score, but you want to have that business liquid credit. And you can't always find that because it's the lender's assessment and how we look at things as well with the lender. And so back to this, and I'll close up here. And with the third option, many don't report your personal credit, but some will if you're under leverage. And what we're going for, qualifications, 700 plus credit score on all 3 consumer credit bureaus. It used to be 680, but 700 and above. I want to briefly interrupt and go to the comment section here with Eric. How do I get funding? Good question. With no proof of income. So this would be that service with no proof of income, or you're looking at stated income, not even needing stated income, this would be the service to go into. I know there are other services out there who say, well, you don't have to have stated income or no proof of income. But for the majority of these, especially if you're looking for like a personal loan, like a term loan, installment loan, those, a lot of cases in a personal line of credit, combination of personal and or business credit cards at that point, more so the lump sum, they will request at least 2 to 3 years of personal tax return, so we can verify income, at least 35, if not 50,000 in verifiable income. So for those of you who are having trouble getting approved for your best route, that other one is credit based. This one is also credit based, is to make sure your credit looks clean. That's why I emphasize credit repair. For those of you who want to get into credit repair, I'll leave more information down below in the description on my #1 recommendation. You can watch a video in the description, then simply fill out a questionnaire that'll land in my email inbox, where then I will be able to evaluate it, analyze it, and then connect you and be able to help you on that credit repair side. So check that out. Credit is most important right now. A lot of you are neglecting that. For those of you who are like, well, I wanted another EIDL loan, I wanted another PPP loan, I wanted another 10K grant, or whatever that is, however you see it and you justify it and go, well, I'm not in position because of my credit, or I am in position. I have actually good to excellent credit. I'm not anywhere in fault with that, or a fair credit at that. But for those of you who are sitting on, I want more money, I want free money, or I don't want to have to provide any kind of an income. So for those, like the personal loans and so forth, it's verifiable by personal tax returns, W-2, pay stubs. But a lot of the times I need to see a personal tax return in the most recent, at least, to initiate the process. So back to this document, and we'll go into our third option. Credit card 3 years old with a $5,000 plus limit. It must be a primary card. Minimum of 2 open revolving accounts within a year and a half of good standing, or I should say good payment history as well. Under 40% utilization on all revolving accounts. So this is an emphasis where I have people that come to me and go, well, I have high balances. I won't lie to you on that. Well, we got to focus on dropping it underneath 40% on all revolving accounts. No more than 4 unsecured accounts open in the past 12 months. Huge. No more than 4 to 6 inquiries per bureau in the last 6 months, preferably less. There are other options out there, especially if you get in with like a 650, but it's still hard. And we're not going to be able to give you full rounds and more. You don't have an optimized credit profile. You can't usually get as much, and it's harder to. And they might say, hey, we can't have more than 2 inquiries per credit bureau in the last 3 months, in the last 6 months. But with these, and then there's other options like with the lump sum, no more than 6 inquiries typically in the last 3 months a lot of the time. So this one here, though, no more than 4 to 6 inquiries, and this is standard. No bankruptcies within the last 7 years or past 7 years. No open unpaid collections, liens, or judgments. This program does require a personal guarantee from you or the credit partner if you use one. No authorized user accounts for qualification. That's not going to work. All right. If you have somebody who you have a joint account, authorized user account, they have you on theirs, you're using their credit and their credit card and so forth. So just keep that in mind. And another thing that I do want to mention before I move on from this is, let's say you have been fixing your credit, and this is something that does change from time to time per files too, just keep in mind. But there are cases to be made where if you've tried to apply for a business credit card on your own, then a lot of the times you don't want to reapply until it's been sometimes 3 months, but the majority of this, it's 6 months. You want to wait another 6 months to apply with that same credit issuer, but you just don't want to apply and say, well, I waited 6 months, but what did you do in that time? Did you fix anything? Did you get anything removed? Was anything disclosed and disputed beforehand, or what did you do? So there are cases to be made where you have to be careful about if you, with certain providers, where if you fix credit, for example, you remove anything that's negative, late payments or anything else, and then you go straight into a program like this or similar, or you try to apply for a certain card, especially with the track record if you've applied before. But if not, if you try to apply right away with these, you could get a lot of the times declined. And it's because it's just something that was removed from the credit reports. But when it goes through a hard pull with a lot of these business credit cards, then that's the case where we're going to see that. And even if it's been removed, it's something that can still show up on the reports. And how recently it was removed, that's also what we're looking at. And that's what the credit issuers are looking at. Like, this was just removed 30 days ago. It's too soon. So they might disapprove an application. So it's best to wait, in a lot of cases, 6 months. So if you just repaired credit, in these cases, sometimes it's best to wait 6 months after to start a program like this, especially if that credit repair, like I said, it's most recent. Now, if it was done 4 to 5, 6 months ago and you're ready to come on board, You removed the late payments. There were no charge-offs just recently, no anything else derogatory, bankruptcies, foreclosures, and all this stuff. Then if you're ready by that point and that has been removed, discharged, or it's still going to remain on the report, like up to 7 years, up to 10 years. And some of these hard pulls do remain on the reports, even though it's been past those 6 months and so forth, up to 2 years or so. So keep that in mind. And it's on, again, a case-per-case basis, but that's normally it. That's usually the standard on what we see. And some of these things, they do change. So I do want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So let me go through. I did put a few points here on my document just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so removing negatives, that can, and if it's most recent and you're applying again to a specific service, you might have to wait 6 months down the road to doing it again. And so even if you erase these issues, they can be a concern, even if they were wiped out, even if they are general things. That's something to be careful about. Now, here as we go through, as I said, no bankruptcies and no unpaid. Steps on how it works. Let me cover that part. So here, step 1, you complete a form for a one-on-one consultation with a representative on my team. Step 2, you submit your application with a soft pull on your credit. Step 3, you get pre-qualified in as little as 24 hours. Step 4, you meet with the credit line hybrid advisors and get access to your credit lines. And there's a little bit more to this that I want to cover very quickly. Before time, I'm going to try to run through this as fast as I can. It isn't that important, at least for this moment, but I want to make sure you guys know about it. So let me open up this document. That's on another share screen of mine. And then I have another one where I've helped out clients, and that's kind of a little bit more confidential. But there are some examples to be made that if you can qualify for like these business credit cards, then we can also do a round of personal. So we can do like a personal term loan / installment loan, pretty much the same thing. And then personal lines of credit, if that makes sense. So if we were to do the two, and you can answer certain questions like, is your corporation, LLC, or EIN more than 2 years old? Okay, yes, check mark. 2, are you listed on the original incorporation or EIN filing? Yes, check mark. 3, have you lived at your current home address for over 2 years? Check mark. And so if everything looks good, the foundations to it, then we can combine business and personal with 140 to 180,000 for like a first round, if not more than that. And then business credit only, okay, if you can only do that, we'll do 70 to 90,000. So there's another case where if you cannot say yes to one or more of these, then on the business plus personal, we can do somewhere around 80 to 120. If not, just business credit only, 50 to 70,000. But that's still to be determined based on certain qualifications. And just keep that in mind. That's the documentation that I have where it's a bit more confidential. And I have another one that I'm not going to go through, but there's a step-by-step process where we can say, hey, if you have this credit, we can go to this bank. Or if you meet these certain qualifications, then our step-by-step process is to say we're going to start off with getting you a card from Chase Bank, or then we're going to go after that Bank of America, and then we'll go to PNC, and then a Truist. So it just depends on the process that we look at. And then, yes, there will be hard inquiries, but they're not attached to any open accounts, so we can remove inquiries and repeat that process. So let me go back to this, and we'll go to the third option. In 1 second, I'll come back to you, Eric. Thank you. If you're not approved, you will find out why, as well as what you can do to get approved. There is a one-time success fee of 9.9%, and that normally means that on the total amount, this is like performance-based, so you're not having to pay like a membership fee. There are some programs out there that will charge you like $1,000 or $2,500, and you have a term to pay on. But this one here, you get a 9.9% success fee is normally what it is. And it's like the total amount of credit lines that we were able to get you through those business credit cards and all types of funding. This one is for more so the business credit cards. But then that would be the attachment to it. So over here, that it's due after you received your access to your credit lines. If you don't get approved, you don't pay. Best of all, you can use your new 0% credit lines to pay the success fee. So there's nothing wrong with that, is there? You're paying the success fee with the cards and you have free money to use. That fee is also how the lenders compensate themselves by offering you a low interest of 0% with monthly payments and terms up to 18 months. The amount that needs to be fulfilled and effort it takes on our behalf, like myself and my team, especially when we're doing soft pulls and relating that towards what we can do to get you, then it takes time, and you have to keep that in mind. And the rates are usually low if they're 0%, even if they're lower than that. And it's better than anything out there compared to getting like personal funding where you fall between 7 to 15% interest originally, 7 to 18% in this market, where a lot of people on average start with, but you can see it as low as 6.997% up to about 25%, up to 30% in some cases. So it's better than that. Even a merchant cash out advance for one, if you're getting those medium to high rates, even a hybrid cash out advance option, which is not a traditional merchant cash advance. You get better rate terms and rates, and easily makes up for this by far. It's crazy how much. The fee is not ridiculous when it's unsecured, no collateral, max funding. You can maybe walk into a bank and maybe qualify for like 10K in cards or in 10K of a loan, of a personal loan, where I and my team can help you get up to 100,000. And that range I said earlier, 50 to 75, even more than that range, it's very helpful. So it more than makes up for everything. You're working with the experts. You also have to keep in mind the benefit of it exceeding your repayment and how you use these funds to potentially double, triple, quadruple your revenue, and or perhaps save more and keep your business afloat, which helps keep your repayments lower over time, and you're not having to stress out about any of this. You can finally take that time away from working in your business and look at it from the outside in. Take that vacation with your family. Don't even have to look in or check in with your business and people running it every single second of the day because you don't have enough funds or you don't know how you're going to be able to cover the next project you have or those expenses. You can't use it for both. You have to use it for one or the other. You can use it for both. That's what I'm saying, but you just don't have a calculated plan. So lower over time compared to other services is normal and it's what's expected. So down there is where you can get started. I also have other things like checking out those grant opportunities as I spoke about earlier. There's more things like SBA Community Advantage, angel investors, equity crowdfunding options, venture capitalists, other options like margin accounts, financial guarantee bond. You need to fix your credit. I have resources, credit repair right there. You can learn more about the full service. You actually save a lot of money, and it's a very effective process. It's worked out for a lot of people. Just make sure you're going through the right source and the right disputing process because certain credit repair companies are different. They'll charge you more, but it won't be as effective. There's a lawyer involved, and you get to points where it didn't work in your best interest because somebody didn't report it correctly or the credit bureaus didn't dispute it correctly and didn't send you the information in time when it needed to be, and more. So there's more information there. Building your business credit, free business credit building video series, video content on 0% interest business credit cards, fair credit to good credit cards. I'll show you that as well. Fleet cards and more. Home equity loan, home equity line of credit, 401k IRA financing, stocks, good options as well for startups. And then updates on some of these other ones and a conclusion on there what to do. So now let me transfer over to my third option on a quote unquote free money. Give me 1 second. Yes, you're saying, well, you missed out on this one. And there's a lot of them out there. You can go specifically into each and every single one of them. But the point being is you have to do what's in your best interest and do it that's more calculated. Don't just start applying anywhere and everywhere thinking that something will work. You're just throwing a dart on the board with closing your eyes and you don't know how to play the game well enough. And so maybe it doesn't even land on the dartboard. Maybe you have Susie or Sally or some waiter, you're at a restaurant and they're walking and you poked me in the shoulder with this. What'd you do that for? And so just be very calculated in this. And if you need help with it, I can point you in the right direction. So this next part, what you're going to see, and we're going to round up here. This isn't technically a loan. This is not a grant. This isn't a refundable payroll tax credit. Excuse me. We've gone in time. I'm an introvert. So sometimes my wording, I think more than I speak. If you guys know me, you know me. And I'm a very cerebral, meticulous person. So don't ever discount my wording. Just think that, hey, I'm a very calculated person. And if you know an introvert, you know how very thoughtful they are. I'm a Libra, if that makes any sense. But if I didn't say this earlier, like many of you, aside from my multiple businesses, I was in a 9-to-5 role where a lot of things didn't add up, where I couldn't move up and get paid more. The company, I was in a financial logistics position and ended up getting bought over by another company. We made a transition to that company underneath the same building. And we were working for one of the biggest contracting companies servicing HP and Peace Health, and a financial role, working on things on the computer. And also in the shipping and receiving departments, I still had to move some media around. It was quite heavy, but it wasn't that like busy. It would like be so slow in a lot of cases. And there was a time where it ramped up, and not that work wasn't really for me. It just really wasn't. I'll just say that. And it was more of a let me just have more stability post academics. I went to school and I studied, and I went to school originally for sociology. I was a Division I soccer player. And then I made my transition into the mathematics because I'm a very math-minded and systematic person. And so I got into chemical engineering. I found a passion for chemistry, the calculuses. And then I started seeing a transition in the market. And what I wanted to do was eventually start my own business. And so I got into business administration, and the rest is history. I worked in construction, manufacturing, and not the actual financial roles and all that. I was actually working in the field. I was working the machines. I was doing quite a few things in other roles. I was a ramp agent in my younger 20s. And this is all stuff in my younger 20s, kind of, by the way, and kind of almost going into the mids around there. But just keep in mind that I've been through a lot of things and I've seen a lot of things, an educated person who had to go through their trials and tribulations. When that company got bought over, the financial logistics position, I had to go back on unemployment benefits, food stamps, and it was not a great feeling at all. I'm not going to venture down that route too much right now, but just know I've been there at the bottom and I wanted to start something and I built things from the ground up. I didn't just buy a business. I can buy a business now, but I don't want to just get into something that I don't know. And also, I started something and I know how to start it from the ground up. So keep that in mind, and I have your guys' best interest at heart. Now, coming back to this, this is a refundable payroll tax credit, and I'll leave this down below in the description, and we'll close up here in a second. What is the employee retention credit? ERC, or ERTC for short. It is a refundable payroll tax credit, not a loan, not a grant, designed to reward businesses up to $26,000 per employee, many small businesses, I should say, for retaining their employees during the COVID-19. The credit was initially signed into law of March 2020 as part of the CARES Act. The credit was then later expanded upon the Consolidated Appropriations Act in December of 2020 and the American Rescue Plan Act in June of 2021. And you are eligible if you had W-2 employees in 2020 or 2021 and any. So I said and, so or here. So it could be and or, it could be the two. If you have two, that makes it even better, as you're going to find out that we're going to need payroll and tax documents, those 941s uploaded for those eligible quarters, and any of the three following. If you had a reduction in revenue, 50% reduction in 2020, if you had a reduction in your gross receipts in 2020 when compared to the same quarter in 2019 by at least 50% and or 20% reduction in 2021. If there is a reduction in your gross receipts in 2021 when compared to the same quarter in 2019 by at least 20%. So yes, you do have to have W-2 employees. I won't go too much into the mathematics on how it comes up to be $26,000 per employee, but the numbers do add up. I've done it myself. 2, if your business was impacted by a government mandate, if a government mandate order had more than a nominal impact on your business operations, such as required to fully or partially suspend operations tied to government orders, inability to obtain critical goods or materials from suppliers because they were required to suspend operations due to governmental orders, limiting occupancy to provide for social distancing due to governmental orders to shelter in place preventing employees from going to work, other similar impacts from the government. So the common trend here you see is a government impact. Number 3, if you started your business after February 15, 2020, and had annual gross sales receipts less than $1 million. So you could have started your business before February 15, 2020. That's fine. This applies for those who are new and like a new startup program for it. And so if you have the PPP as well, you can qualify for this. We just don't want to make sure you're not double dipping. So we're going to verify these things, 941Xs and things that we'll need. I won't go too much into all the documents that will be required for in this exact video, but just know payroll and tax documents. Once you get to that page, you can upload them, and what we'll be asking for probably a payroll summary report or a payroll journal, as they're called. But make sure you have these things on hand and you're ready to go. And if there's anything more that we would request from you, you'll be hearing from myself and my team. And I work with the best in this and the payroll management experts, and everything that you need, the CPA, everything that is legitimate. So don't worry about that. Don't qualify and want to see alternative funding in up to $2 million plus incredibly fast from a real expert in yours truly, click the link below to see. If you click this link, maybe it takes you to this document, or maybe it takes you to a blog post. And I'll actually show you what it looks like in a second. But down here, the key benefits of working with us, how it works in 3 fast and simple steps. So you want to work with us for 1, we are an experienced staff, fast response time, certified expertise. How it works in 3 fast, simple steps. Step 1. So first of all, you will work directly with our payroll management expert. Sorry, guys, I just want to quickly go through this. And if you know me, I am a very slow talker, slow eater. And right now you're seeing me kind of speed through things. This isn't me. I'd rather speak slowly. And because I'm a listener, I listen more than I speak. And I just cherish a lot of things more in life than I ever have. I'm very patient now. I'm very grateful. I delay instant gratification. And I've learned this through my multiple years, and many years, I should say, of running my businesses, not only this one, but others. But step 1, enter your information, figure out how much you could get back in literally minutes by answering a few basic questions about your company for free. No application cost, no hidden fees. So if somebody's charging you that, run. Step 2, file online in minutes. Our safe and secure portal allows you to streamline the complex process so you can upload payroll and tax documents needed to get your highest amount back possible. I always recommend when you're going through the application, have these documents in hand so you can more or less understand how much you can qualify for, and we'll have a rounded up adjustment when we go through all the filing. So needed to get the highest amount back possible. Step 3, receive your check. The U.S. Treasury will receive and process your claim and then issue your refund so you can push forward with more confidence and certainty. Note, the service charge is based on a percentage of credit recovered. We calculate and provide our fee with our free analysis. It's low, and usually you see 15% if you pay later, or you can choose to pay 10% if you want to pay up front with that option. And that's the fee on the total amount you receive that it comes out of, not like out of your own pocket, as in you got to give us $10,000 on this or $7,500 on this $50,000 that we recovered for you in credit. No, it's $50,000 and there's 15%. So let's say 50%, I think it adds up to this $50,000 on that. 15% of that, you're paying around $7,500. And if it's the 10% you decide to pay up front, then it's about $5,000, if I believe. So not a major difference, but yeah, it can make a difference for your business, but it's not really like night and day. Let's say it's just a smaller amount. And the amount of work it takes. So other companies out there charge 20 to 25%. They might charge 20% in some cases, depending on what we're doing in the file and the extensive amount of work, but usually see 10 to 15% in a lot of cases. But others will charge 20 to 25%, which is higher and can be less effective. Sometimes they're more effective. They're not always as effective. So you have to be careful because they might have processes set in place where they're paying out everybody else and it isn't as effective as it needs to be. So keep that in mind. The cost, they do stay low. Since we typically are able to recover 10 to 20% more than someone less familiar with the program, and that's the advantage, our fee is very affordable. Just like a good CPA, using the right team with decades of payroll experience for this process will pay for itself. So you don't just want to turn to your own CPA and say, hey, can you help me file? They don't know all the complex tax codes, the whole PDF, 200 pages or so, and they're just going to look at your gross receipts and say, yes, you can, or no, you can't, and this is how much you can get. But is it really that much I can get? You don't want to be questioning that, so you're just spinning your wheels on it. You get higher approval odds, by far. It's crazy how much than just going to your own CPA, and they don't maximize and know all the complex tax codes. The ERC tax code is over 200 pages that come with payroll and so forth. Plus, you have to keep in mind the amount of work it takes for us to fulfill on your file and for us to file on your behalf and so forth. So make sure this is getting done correctly and in the right time, and you're not making mistakes time and time again, wasting energy and time only to find out you didn't get enough credit or any at all. And this is, again, expiring of April of 2024 and April of 2025 consecutively to 2020 and 2021 or sequentially there. About us, if you'd like to learn a little bit more, I'll leave information to this. But at Viral Funding Solutions, we've helped out tens upon thousands, even more than that, get the ERC credit and other types of funding, not just the ERC credit. We can add that on top of others. So if you're awaiting your check through that, it comes all through the IRS, the Treasury Department, et cetera, then you can look at getting alternative funding. If you can qualify for a bank, that's where I would focus on first. But if there's not enough cash flow or this doesn't work in this way, then we have to look in and exploring an alternative option with a private lender, private investors, startup or non-startup funding, whatever it is. But with that being said, making sure you have everything that you need to move forward. So with the partnership with the expert payroll management experts as your go-to destination for ERC, as well as safe and secure alternative small business capital, fast and simple, we funded literally all types of companies and continue to share our best tips and secrets to getting funding so you can build, grow, expand, and even get out of a tight pinch. When the banks say no, we say yes. I'll say yes to you and I'll help you out. It's your money. Go ahead and claim it before it's too late. Again, the ERC credit is projected to be around 2024, if so also 2025, but it can literally be closed at any time. Look at what's happened with the SBA EIDL funding and even the PPP funds gone. And a lot of you will be waiting and saying, well, when will it open again? Let me know when this program opens. And there's no clear indication of it. And you lost your opportunity there. And so you don't want to lose your reward and chance to put the credit back into your business, however you choose to. Do you want to be that person sitting on your couch, living in regret day to day? On your mind every single millisecond, thinking to yourself, what if, or the one who said, I did it, and you're not stressing out about it. So about myself, you can learn a little bit about that as I spoke to it a little bit earlier as a 9 to 5 in my younger 20s, and then those changes, and then just learn a little bit more. So you have that there to see when you start the process. You can click on that button, or maybe there's a link for you to click on, and you'll go directly there and start your application, no cost. Upload the documents, have it ready to go right then and there. Don't waste time. Come back if you have to and continue the application. You should have an email link or so, or you have to restart it. You can restart it, but you can continue where you left off, complete it. You're ready to go. Everything is there. So here I just kind of, again, like I said, a little bit about myself, the troubles and tribulations that I had to go through, You're looking at it from a first point of view where someone in myself who's been in this industry long enough knows the different types of programs that are available, that are not available. So I'll be there to help you guys out. Let me go to the comment section now. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. Let me go to Eric. Not the LLC itself wouldn't have the credibility. It would have the credibility. The credit history, just always remember this, whether you're incorporated with an LLC or sole proprietor or anything similar to that, or S Corp, C Corp, we can go on and on, many others that I can start listing. But here it falls back to your credit. So you as the consumer credit, no matter what, you could be a 9-to-5 employee, but it's your credit. So you could not be a 9-to-5 employee, but it's still the credit. The credit doesn't change. So if there are no reporting trade lines, no accounts, which is kind of similar, same thing. There are no reporting accounts. There are no mortgages. There are no auto loans. There's no bulk history. There's no credit worthiness, in other words. Then it will be hard to get approved for a new startup, a new LLC. And if you're in that position too, there are ways of buying trade lines. I won't want to go into the trading company and starting to go into how to buy trade lines in this video, but I'd be cautious of it, making sure if you're going to purchase a trade line that has enough aged history, not something that's new and it looks good, but that's not what you want to make the determination on. But I won't spend too much time on purchasing trade lines in this video. And that's not something that is always recommended, especially if it isn't aged or there's not enough history there built and it's not reporting accurately, because a lender will see that. Myself will see that. It's when we look through things and do soft pulls. If later on when we're doing like personal/startup loans and we do a hard pull to get you a hard offer, at that point, even if something were to be removed, that can then be discovered, or we can look at it even more depth. So making sure that these things do align. And if you don't have those trade lines, like I had to tell a lady the other day, she only had like student loans. And I'm like, that's the only reporting trade line, or that's the only thing you're reporting is a student loan. Do you have any car loans? Do you have any more? Do you have anything else? Like I went on the list with her, but we didn't have to do initially a soft pull for some of these. And there's multiple situations where it wasn't just for the student loan. There's other ones. But at that point, it wouldn't make sense. You want to have at least 5 trade lines. And credit history is huge. Age of history is huge. So if you can get above those 2 years with those reporting trade lines, even better. A year's worth is great. It kind of pushes you beyond. If you're still rather new, like between that 0 to 6 months, even 6 to 12 months, if it's a new open trade line and it's just recently being reported or reporting, that can decline a file. I've seen it time and time again where people open up a new trade line and they say, hey, I can go and apply now, or hey, I'm ready to go and apply, and you get shut down for new open trade lines. Too many new open trade lines can hurt you. If you have too many and you don't have any aged accounts, or you have 1 or 2, but you have opened up 2 to 3 new open trade lines, etc., new open accounts, that can hurt you. You think that'll get you approved for, but in fact it won't. There's no history, or it's not enough. So what makes us think that you can handle on 45 to 50, 45 to 120,000 when there's no proof of making payments or making payments on time? So there are derogatories, there are charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies. There's a lot of things that account to a credit profile, but you will want to get a credit partner. That's what I recommend to everybody in here watching. It's get a credit partner. If it's not the credit line hybrid, like I said today, with the free money, and you're not in partnership with another person, then it will be harder to qualify for unless those change. But a 10% owner in the business with stronger credit. But you can get in with the personal funding with the 680 and above, 680 plus Experian. 700 plus is better. That's what I recommend. We're looking at FICOs, just in case you were wondering, FICO versus Credit Karma Advantage scores versus FICO scores. FICO scores, that's the lender's assessment. That's their scoring model. FICO 8s, FICO 9s, FICO 10s, et cetera, et cetera. We can go on and on, but that's what they're pulling from, and it gives them a better historical data, and it gives them better information for reporting trade lines, for everything else, and that's what they're making a decision on. So enough with the Credit Karma. If you have my FICO, my Credit IQ, there's a few out there getting from Annual Credit Report. You can pull that up in those reports for a nominal fee, a certain fee. I don't want to go too much into that cost and all that stuff, but it's worth credit monitoring, making sure you guys have that stuff together. But get a credit partner, or get not a guarantor in this case, but get a cosigner or an individual partner who can apply with their own individual credit, who has those trade lines, who's willing to also take on the debt to apply on your behalf, to then them taking the debt on, whether you're a joint venture with them or you're underneath the joint account, but they're applying with their own individual credit that is not effective, it is not thin credit, and they're willing to say, hey, If they needed 50,000, my friend or my family member here, John, I'm going to help them out. So I'm going to take 50,000. Or you can then say this is a pro tip is, let's say your credit is not where it needs to be, but we need to get it to a 680. All right, we do need to work on that first. So we'll get it there first. So what did we need to fix to get to that 680? And we're not focused on business credit cards at that. So if it's something negative where we got you to a 700 plus on all 3 consumer credit bureaus or similar, then that could be a little bit harder because business credit cards can make it harder to get approved when you just recently in the last 30 days or so got something negative removed. And even in some of the cases with the personal loans, if it's just so recent and it's been sitting on your account and it isn't as recent, that's another thing. If you had that late payment showing for 6 months or whatever it is, and you just recently got it repaired, that's a different story. But once that gets done, you can then share the load and say, hey, I have John or Sally here who's willing to apply with their own individual credit. They can get approved for 50,000. I'm going to see what I can get approved with my credit. I can only get approved for 30,000 in a lump sum. I only really needed 90,000 or so. So that's kind of getting me close. So I'll take on the 30,000 if they're willing to take on 50, or if you got approved for more, but you needed an extra amount, then you can say the other person takes only 20,000 and you're taking about 80,000. So you're taking on more of that payment. They're taking on less. That's how you do things. And if it's worthy of it, that's another thing you got to look at. Got it. Thanks for sharing. I'm not a very technical person, in case you were wondering. Like, I don't have that in terms of like computer technically savvy. Like, I'm not a whiz at computing codes in that case. I know there are 2 different meanings, but hands-on I can be. And just like a lot of stuff with like websites, like I came through the time when I didn't have to start coding and doing all that, the HTML. I still did have to do quite a bit of that, even with WordPress, with different coding for what I was doing back in the days with all that. But I see what you say. You're saying. Excuse me. Nice, Antonio. How are you doing? Yeah, I know. I've been back and forth and then receiving my emails. I'm very well aware of it. For those of you who are in here wondering, does he remember me? I go, yeah, of course I do. I said that to a lady yesterday, and I said it to a couple, and then I also said it to a good friend of mine that I built a good personal connection with. And I remember people too, not only because of their business, but because of them. It all comes down to me about ethics, values, aspirations. It comes down to me with the character of the person. If you haven't heard me say, there's character and reputation. Reputation, how people see you in your business, your brand image. It can even be a mix of personal image, your products and services, operations, finances, all these things. But your character is who people see you as a person. That's detached away from your business. Who are you in your own personal life? Who are you when you're around family? Those are the things that actually contribute to having a successful business. If you didn't know this, personal development is huge. It is huge to me. I'm not a guru, but I've learned my mistakes back in the day starting my business and making those tweaks. Think about it like you're just putting like drilling something in, or you have a wrench, you're trying to do something, a drill bit, whatever it is, and you're just trying to make those tweaks, and you got to learn how to have the leverage, the fulcrum, you got to have the torque to do it. There are many things that I can say that are physics related, but I won't bore you guys with that. But just making sure that those things did align for me were the biggest asset. So you can either be an asset or you could be a liability. And I'll get into that in a moment, but character matters more than anything. And it's your character of your attitude, your effort, those things you can't control. Are you stubborn? Are you ignorant? Are you cocky? Do you let your ego drive you? If you have none of that or one of them, okay. But we leave that out the door. If we can't make that change in time, we leave that out the door, because I've seen it time and time again, those kinds of attitude that they come into an application. People don't stay open-minded. People don't give feedback. They're not very patient. They do whatever they want to do after I've told them what not to do. So it becomes this whole friction and resistance and energy and time consumption that I'm sure you can relate to, or at least know and say, yeah, I understand you. I wouldn't want to waste my energy and time. And I know you're very punctual and disciplined. So like for many of you, I wouldn't waste that energy and time. Believe me, I'm not here to do much of that, or any of that, I should say, excuse me. But yeah, that's good to know that you're waiting for your DUNS number and you'll be getting some vendors. Nice. Yeah, start building your vendor credit, trade credit, fleet credit at that, and building your business credit profile. Yes, you want to work on those things in tandem, and that's how it works. You leak in with one, and I see these business credit reports, in case you were wondering. I don't have it open right now, so I can run through one example, maybe another time. But what happens, and I've said this in another video, I kind of went through it I think I already uploaded it though, but I went through an example, not on screen. Some of it's confidential, but some of the other ones are examples of. But what I mentioned is if you have a risk assessment, you have a credit limit risk, and if you have like 1,000 only and 2,500 on your business, underneath your business name, that's very little. You haven't built really much any kind of credit. You probably only built one or two accounts or trade lines, and you really have to build more. It takes about 5 to 8 to really start getting those like in revolving cards to start getting that kind of credit. It really does help. There are other cards with business credit where you don't have to exactly have that. I understand, but it takes quite a bit. And somebody who has 40 to 45 accounts, that person can get even much more. It can even boost them even higher, especially when we're looking at an SBA loan. It doesn't have to be that high, but the primary emphasis, of this is building your business credit, like Antonio was saying there. You are most welcome, Antonio. Isn't it? And this stuff, I try not to throw it all at once for you guys because I know how heavy it can be. I'm, again, very strategic, process system automated oriented, and there's a time and place for each and every one of these. But for each one of you, like Antonio and everybody else in here, I devise a strategy like he knows and others, especially with the questionnaire format. And I break it down for you guys very nicely. And it could feel a little bit overwhelming when you get a longer email, like I'm sure many of you have seen. But once you look at it, you go, and I do love the way he put it, because I'm showing you everything you can and can't qualify for. You shouldn't have any doubt or any question when you run through what you needed to run through. And then you saw the extra where I said you didn't have to look through these, but just know that they're there. Don't apply. Don't start applying anywhere and everywhere, but just know they're there. If we have to work towards them or if we don't have to work towards them, that's not your best option. But this one is, there's 3 SBA loan lenders. The best one is up here. Or there's 3 hybrid advanced loan lenders or organizations. This one's best. Or there's 3 business lines of credit. Because of your situation, this one makes more sense. So when you start realizing that, you're going, oh, man, this does make sense. And you go through it. That's how I'm able to help. And it's very energy and time effective. I told a couple of that yesterday. And so we went through these things with getting a loan, getting credit, business credit. I pointed them in the right direction. I consulted with them. I've known them for some time now. So it was most use of my energy and time. It was appropriate to do that on a call with them for that situation. Not for everybody, but it has to make sense on why I get on a call with someone. I've always said this. That's why I have systems in place and how I do it. And eventually, if you needed more clarity on something, and if it makes sense to, then we can. Sometimes initially from the start, but it just, again, has to make sense for me. Emotionally, yeah, I love it. But also logically, is it going to be something that I take a chance on right now? So appreciate you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, take a second. You don't have to get into it right away. And I don't have, you don't have to go directly into the personal credit repair. You can look at my extra resources on FICO and things that I spoke about. I have video content on that for you guys as well here on the YouTube channel. I've made quite a few, but I only have a few I might just share with you guys. And some of it may be still unlisted. Yeah. And I'll probably update that later or just keep it the way it is. But the thing is, you have to understand that if you can build your business trade credit, you should be building out your personal credit at the same time. You shouldn't wait. You shouldn't be saying, well, if I'm working on my business credit, have a focus. If there needs to be something that gets done in an allotted amount of time, you say, I only have 20 minutes. I have to set up my Dun & Bradstreet, my Experian Equifax. I have to make sure that these are set up correctly. I need to sign up for business credit monitoring, which I told the lady yesterday, if you're in here watching, it might not be her best option anymore because of cash flow and profitability. Like we're going to try to look at a bank term loan for her to get approved, but without the right cash flow, without her business credit, that's the thing that was holding her back. And so I told her, make sure she monitors her credit. I pointed her in the direction. She can come back to me and share with me those reports or share with me what she sees, and then I can have a better idea. But if you just set up the foundation of it, of the business credit bureaus, that's not normally enough. Sometimes you can open up an account here and for a free account, it'll open up, but you still need to start building that credit and business credit cards, revolving, you have installments, etc., net 22s, net 30s, net 45s, and 60s, net 90s. Those are going to be helping you a lot. And when you come back to me like an Antonio here and somebody else, I'll be in better position. I might ask you then for your business credit reports. I might then ask you for your personal credit reports. I'll look at the two in tandem and say, when you have this limit, this is what we can then look at. So it's most appropriate you guys understand that. Just putting the good deed out there, just making sure that everybody is on the same page, on the same frequency and wavelength, man, because I think too many times people get away with their own character. And I want to make an emphasis on that. And I'm going to end it up right here. As I already said this earlier, character, guys, is what is your driving point. Yes, your bad credit can tell me a bit about your character. It's a morale thing, but it can tell me more. But what I'm saying, aside from your personal credit, your business credit, if you can get funding or not, hey, look at me, I run a $2 million business. I've actually shut down working with $2 million business owners. I'm going to be very honest with you. And then that per month, I'm not saying per year. I've actually declined working with $2 million, $10 million and above. Why? Not because of timing or because of the money. That's not what I look at. It's because of the character. And not because you have a bad character doesn't mean I won't work with you. It's just when it piles up time and time again, and I see a repetitious, vicious pattern of it, like I give them the chances and they still do what they want to do because their ego, after I've told them what not to do, they make life a living for me. And it's also with lower revenue clients. It's not just lower revenue. It's not just higher. It's in between. And it's not just those with bad credit, but it's those with good to excellent credit. So I want you guys to make sure and understand that I come from a deep level. I come from a place of there's a lot of depth to me, and it goes way beyond funding. Like I help people with my lead generation, affiliate marketing business, my digital marketing agency, lead generation, when it's time to. I'm not always open to it with certain things that I have going on, but I have more of a do it yourself instead of a done for you. I can do a done for you. I've done that for many years. I have more of a do it yourself with material, video content, courses and stuff you guys can go through. But with that being said, there's more to all of this than what you guys may perceive. I know the differences within being marketable with a digital marketing agency to a business owner / entrepreneur and helping them generate more leads through their business, whether it's through organic or paid methods, and how that's not as dry, or affiliate marketing isn't as dry if you're working on physical or digital products, and how it is going from business to consumer or consumer to consumer or B2B, however you see it. There are many other ones, but that's not as dry. But when it comes to funding, what I've noticed is it can be dry. So that objection or that going over that valley, that peak and valley, takes a little bit more effort than it would do with these. And sometimes that can be a burdensome because of the character. Like I always say, excuse me. And what I said to other brokers and agents, and I'm here now, I'm not saying that to sound cocky, but I'm confident in certain what I do and how I deliver and where I'm at in my position. And I train a lot of others and I help others. And I go, you're going to realize, if not right away, in time, that the number one reason that somebody doesn't go through with things is because of the character. It's because people, they sabotage themselves. It's also because of finances. So character, finances, misbelief. So it's all in tandem. Character, beliefs, aspirations, values, that's also characteristically there. And it's also because of finances. It's also something else that's holding them back. There's more than just these 2 to 3 things that hold people back. And if those things are not addressed within themselves, or somebody doesn't help them address it, then they're trying to get funding that doesn't make sense or it will never add up. But there's a lot more to that process that I don't want to get too into right now. Awesome. Yeah, very well justified, Antonio. I appreciate you even mentioning that. That helps me a lot. Now we're in better position. I do want to read this out loud for just a little bit, or I'll just keep it like it is. I just wanted to make sure everybody heard this. But if you're seeing it on screen, there it is. So he does want to use the personal credit builder metric to disputing processes. And it's very precise and it's very recommended, and things that I do there with my team on it. I have somebody right now that I outsource it to. I could do this stuff myself. I've done some of this stuff myself back in the days with software, but I'm focused right now on the business funding. In time, it may be different where I say, hey, I can help you do it, or this is how you can do it for yourself. But you want somebody who knows their stuff, where it's more convenient for you and they can take care of it better if you can't yourself. But these are the situations. This is what happens when you're trying to grow a business. Sometimes you have to outsource something. So I go, the credit card stuff, sometimes I have to outsource that, or I can do that myself. The credit repair, I know I can do that myself. The business credit stuff, I know I can help people with that directly, but I got to outsource it at this time to do it this way. With this stuff here in my digital marketing agency, I need a VA to handle this part. I need somebody to create a real estate landing page for this client. I know how to do that myself. I've done it for people in this industry, but I need somebody who can do it here, or I need to tackle on this. Sometimes I handle 100% of it at some point in parts of those projects. So yeah, it makes absolutely sense. You're not the first one in the position to say something like that to me, but you understand your goals and what you want to do. And yeah, if you're strapped for it and you're making that transition right now and you're moving and there's a new home and you're trying to pay now another mortgage, or maybe you have another mortgage, you have rent coming up, bills to be paid, you have to look at those numbers first. And then you have your business to take care of. It's like you got another baby on top of another baby. You're like, oh. So yeah, I can understand. It's actually really low, and I'm sure you would agree with me on that the $150 price. And there's more to this. If you guys want to learn about it, I'll leave it down below in the description for credit repair. And I work with somebody right now. Like I said, I have to outsource it a little bit, but I have a great personal business relationship with them. I talk with them like every other 2 to 3 days or every other day because I'm helping people through it. And I know what's going on. I know what's asked for and what's happening in each part of the process. So full transparency there, very loyal. And I give you guys a rundown, especially if you guys fill out the questionnaire on what to expect there. But be serious. Like for many of you, your word is not your bond. I'm not saying yours isn't, Antonio. I'm not directing it at one person here. I'm speaking, and if this is you, if you're the person who says something but never does something about it, see, I grew up with the word is your bond. And I'm Hispanic. I'm Salvadorian, Mexican American. I grew up in Orange County, California. So I'm more whitewashed, you can say. I speak both languages. I can read it well. I can speak it well. I can write it well. And I'm one of those who went to catechism school. And I was like, I wanted to be in the English class. But they put me in the Spanish class. And I knew how to say it all correctly. It's just I wanted to be in the English class. But hey, I appreciated that, and I still loved it regardless of it. They're all learning lessons, and either way, I would still go back and do it again underneath the Spanish class. I have my younger brother who speaks Spanish well too, but I can do it way better than that. We're 6 years apart, and yeah. So let me go here, see if there's anything else. Appreciate you. Thank you. And I did catch on to those words. See, I'm an observer of things. I know how Antonio, he transmits because I've spoken to him quite a few times, whether it's email or another format. Regardless of that, I can tell the tonality. I could tell the behavior of someone even before I've even spoken to them. I could address what will happen or what I could only predict or assume. I don't assume 100% of the time. But being in this industry so long, I know the psychology of someone, so I know how Antonio meant that. Take a second to think about what I just said. An introverted person, I take things to heart. I'll put them in there. I'll lock it up, put the key away, bring it back, unlock it, boom, right there. And I open that up for many of you, and I get those chills sometimes that run down my head and my spine, and I feel the serotonin, the oxycodone, everything running through my heart. And it's just like, I want to be there to help you guys. And it's more to me than a number. It's more to me than income. It's more to me than any of that. It's more than saying, hey, logically, this makes sense. It's more than that. For me, it really is about the impact and the value. And I see a lot of people out there jumping to quick conclusions on, well, your video production, you can, yeah, of course I can make it better, but I want to be as authentic as I can be. And I want to prove a point that it doesn't matter about the video quality. It doesn't matter about how it sounds on video all the time. For those of you seeking the aesthetics, seeking the vanity metrics on all this, well, you got only 1,000 viewers on this. Well, that person got 1,000 viewers. That's what you're. How about you give me a different metric? It's like when you say you run a restaurant and you saw that 30 people finished the meal, and that's what you're basing off of your business on 30 people finishing the meal. How many of them did they leave the half the plate? It's not just about finishing meals. It's about what prices. It's about how much did they spend is one thing, but was there satisfaction, or did they just finish the meal? Because like myself, I go to a restaurant, I don't want to leave any meal unfinished. My brother may be different. They are take home, but they won't even eat sometimes the leftovers. And I look down upon that and I go, and I make it a point and I go, you know how many people don't have food to eat? You know how many people go a day without eating? You know how many people in a different part of the world that are more humble or more whatever, and it's like they don't have food to eat, and you're over here. I'm not saying you're not taking it for granted, and like they appreciate it very well. Like we all appreciate it very well, of course. But it's like, you know how many people would wish they could open up their refrigerator? A refrigerator. I don't care if it's a mini refrigerator or if it's broken up, just a refrigerator, and see that there's spaghetti in there. There's there's a Olive Garden fettuccine alfredo just sitting there. And I go, no matter how, if it's a cup of noodle soup, I won't throw it away. A ramen soup, like you guys gotta learn those things. And I'm like, that behavior doesn't go with me, doesn't sit with me. And I'm that person too. And I'll go over to their place and I'll go to the comments here in a second. But what happens is I'll go over to certain people's houses and I go, I have a routine of things. And I'm like, if I'm washing the dishes, I'll wash dishes myself. After I eat, I wash my dishes. Boom, boom, boom. I'll even wash other people's dishes. I have a routine now. And it's like, well, when I'm washing this, okay, and I need the soap. Why is the soap here? I should be having it here. It's easier to have it there than it is there. Why do they have this soap thing? Or why do they have this scrubber? What is this? And I go, if this were this way, this would be much more energy and time effective. And just the trash, where am I throwing the trash in? Like, there's these little things that I'm nitpicky on, and I just want to make sure that everything is correctly. Have you set it up completely, Eric? Like, what did you put on your tax field? I'd have to go back through my documents to look at that precisely. But is there a certain one that you put on already? Here, let me move this up here for a second. And while that part is being addressed, I do want to leave some closing thoughts. But it also depends, like the tax code, and a little bit about that. Yeah, I'd have to learn a little bit more about that because everybody's a different business underneath a different industry. And so it's like filing single family member LLCs and a few other ones and making sure that that right tax code per state as well. That's also another thing that can come into the mix. So that part, yeah, you can send, okay. You can send it to me in an email so I can understand that better. That's something that would be more privately addressed for that specific industry as well for real estate. So yeah, those are things that those are different because I'm not in real estate myself specifically. So it could be a different tax code for it. But what I would do is send me an email if you wish, and as well as anybody else in here on anything LLC, incorporation, forming an entity related, like foreign nationals or not foreign nationals, having a foreign entity LLC. That's a great addition too. Let me move this. Yeah, those are the two things, but did they say exactly? It depends on the service. I understand what they're saying, and I get that too. I wouldn't, but it just depends on what you are applying to and what you're applying the funds towards. So for trucking specifically, I've helped out people with those, and they vary. Just something that to be careful about because yeah, they do decline funding. It's NICS code related, tax code related, but more than that, it's the industry because it's a super high risk. The real estate industry, depending on the funder you go to, if it's real estate specific investments, it's not as high risk. But if you're going to use it for like working capital and you're going to get a lump sum or a line of credit, I know that's an issue too, then that doesn't always work all the time. What I'll do, Eric, and I tell this for everybody, is if people want to get a hold of me, the best way to get started is, of course, that questionnaire. That's where I would begin with. It's not that I don't want to get on a call, and I'm not being hard-headed about it. Some people would think that. No, I'm not. It's just I get wrapped up in a lot of the things I have to do. Like after this, I won't get into it all, but I got a lot of things to do with people forming their LLC. There's a few things on the tax codes that I'll be helping people out with too, specific to their industry, specific to state and so forth. So that's why I couldn't say that exactly what code per industry and per filing for the LLC. But what I recommend is filling out that questionnaire. That's what I tell a majority of people. And then I will be able to evaluate it, analyze it, and give you a proper response back via email. Okay. Yeah, send me a quick email if you wish, and I'll put it in the comment section for those of you who don't have it either. But let me do this for trucking and real estate, primarily real estate. And I just want to verify to make sure nothing of those tax codes did change. That's also another indication. I could, but for me, it isn't that. For me, it is So we make connections to our past. So I feel very grateful for things. And so when I think about something I did to get me to where I am, I don't forget about those things. Yes, I can outsource and give it to somebody else to do it, of course, but wife, etc. But the thing is, I have my place and I want to do that. And I go, hey, I'm just going to wash a few. It's not even a lot of dishes, by the way. I wash them, sometimes put them in the dryer or in the washing machine, or I'll put them to the side where after I've washed them, they go there. But yeah, those are just some of the things that I like to do. And it's out of my own pleasure. I know how that sounds, pleasure in washing dishes. And I go, well, I'm very meticulous. And it's a way for me to just pass the time. And it's a way for me to just uh, be that person who's taking care of that. I already have that. Don't worry about the dishwasher part. That was a big one, by the way. Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. I'm not saying everybody has to be the same. It's a hey, you eat, you wash your dish, or hey, you're the last one to eat, clean everybody's dishes. See what I mean? It's not that whole like, it's not that whole I'm a man and I'm gonna let the woman do it. That's not for me what it is. That's not a concern of mine, by the way, Eric. I'm already focused on my stuff and my craft. But I do appreciate that nonetheless. I do, really. I'm not like going to leave here and go wash a dish, by the way. It's like when I eat egg or something and I have that in the morning, I'll go and put it in the wash in the, like, I don't like seeing a dish just sitting in there. I don't know how many of you are the same way. I hate it. My dad's the opposite. My brother's the opposite. It's like they just see the dish sitting in the, it's like there's a time to just put the dish in there. Like on a Sunday, I'll probably just leave the dishes in there. It's like a Sunday night. It's a long weekend already. And then, or somebody else is taking care of it. But we're getting into a whole different section of cleaning dishes. Ah, do you? Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that too. And I've helped out people with supplements in the past, so that would be something intriguing. Ah, so it's been something in the works. So I'm sure you have the specs. Well, not the right word to use. Prototype specs. You have probably the right branding, personal and brand imaging on it, more than just imaging though. You have maybe patents on certain things. I can go on and on about all that though. Hey. Yeah, that would be something very helpful too for the future with nutritional technology. That's something interesting I'd like to learn more about. I've had people recently who go, hey, do you want to invest in this? And I go, not at the moment. And sometimes people who need funding, they go, hey, do you want to invest in helping me get funding for this? There's a time and a place for it. See, I have to be able to trust somebody well enough and see that they can even have the repayments and even can control doing this before I get involved with anything. And where I'm at right now, I'm not making those types of investments. Maybe again down the road, though. Yeah, that'll be cool to see. And I've seen a lot of like supplements. And again, I have a health affiliate marketing business where I've done this, where I work with people on proteolytic enzymes. I was helping people with fibrin related to back pain, but joint related issues. And so with tissue, we're eliminating the inflammation, not just masking the symptoms. So bromelain, you have devil's claw. There's a whole bunch of different things that I'm familiar with. Nice. Way to go. Yeah, keep it up. Keep that momentum going. I know there's much that goes into getting those sales, and I can't speak for how you're generating them or how much you're selling to get those sales, or how much you're putting out there to get those. But yeah, that's a topic for another time. I think that's where I will conclude this video, though. I do appreciate you, Eric, Antonio, and everybody else in here watching. Again, you guys can refer to the description. I'll have more information down below. Yeah, you need an assembly line. You need a production line. Probably already have a stored warehouse, don't you? Or you're in the plan or in the works of doing that. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I understood that. Before you said to mix your supplements, I knew about the mixers. And how much would you need for it? I know the varies in pricing, but how much are you looking to get from it? And have you submitted? I don't know if you've submitted my questionnaire. I'm looking at it on my other email. You guys can't see, it's confidential stuff here. Let me make sure I have something appearing. Okay. Yeah, so Eric, I don't think I have your questionnaire, which I had assumed so. Don't remember you submitting one. So what I would do, and I'll put it in the description. Actually, we'll do it right now. Now that you're on here, you might be able to do this. And let me look this up. Are you already in my email sequence? Did you pick up my 6-step pre-approval lending checklist? Because I can verify it too by email. I'm not sure if you have that. Or have you just been following me on YouTube for some time, but I've only subscribed to YouTube but not nothing else? Okay, so let me put this in the comments. So what you'll see when you go to that page, Eric, and everybody else, it's going to take you to a page where you'll select from one of two options, startup or non-startup. Select, fill out the questionnaire. In less than a minute, literally, you can get it finished. It lands in my email, where then I'll be able to evaluate it, analyze it, and give you a proper response back via email. See, I do it this way because I'm energy and time efficient. I don't just jump on calls with people, and even if it doesn't make sense to, I won't do it. So, okay. Yeah, but there's that questionnaire. I do have to get going, though. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me. All information of this for these programs that we spoke about on the 3 today, I won't recap again, but I'll leave information down below. The questionnaire is the best place to get started. I could literally spend a lot of time here with you, Eric, like asking you question after question on those $900. How fast do you think you'd get a return on that investment? What more would you? I can go on and on with Eric on this, honestly, but I do need to get going. I said I would end this earlier, and I think now is my time to get on going. So I will get going. You can also fill out that questionnaire and then state about the LLC part. I can come back to here and see a little bit more too. But let me know if there's anything else that you need. And for everybody else, the same. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in today on this Wednesday. I want to say Tuesday, but Wednesday. And like always, I will speak to you all on the next one. Take care.